James Moore joins us now to talk more about the challenges facing the global economy. He is the founder and CEO of the Washington Institute for Business, Government, and Society. Good to have you with us, James. Thanks for taking the time. Look forward to your insight. You know, it is tough to sugarcoat the inflation figures coming out of the U.S. Close to 8% this month, year to year. What is that doing to the American economy as well as the consumer?
Well, clearly there's concern, and it's fully expected that the next time we get the report for the inflation rate next month, that it's going to be even higher. But it's interesting that in the midst of all this, and certainly complaints at the gas pump by consumers, there seems to be a tolerance level for the time being in being able to accept the higher inflation rate.
Because of the situation going on, clearly tied directly
That's right.
to that. Well,
Absolutely.
The Fed has already announced it's going to bump interest rates 25 basis points, 0.25%. The Fed chairman making that decision public last week. Let's break that down. Why he said it early, and will it help?
The answer is yes, and the question is what's going to happen after that quarter point rise next week. This is something that has been planned literally for weeks before anything happened between Russia and Ukraine, and it is certainly trying to be able to deal with the inflation situation, and it certainly is going to have some kind of an effect on it. The question is how much.
The first of many, do you expect?
Well, it's expected that perhaps over the next year that we may see the inflation, or to be able to see the interest rates go up by 2.25%. So we'll see how that works.
Well, the United States is certainly not alone. Let's talk about the ECB weaning itself off bond buying. We talked about that earlier in the program. What is the state of the European economy right now? And an ugly term, stagflation, has reared its head.
Yes, that word stagflation creates real havoc in the hearts and minds of an awful lot of people. Europe is going to have a little bit of a tougher time in dealing with all this than certainly the United States. The United States has been on a pretty decent trajectory in the past few weeks coming out of the COVID crisis, which of course still is not over. But you know, it's very interesting because I come at this from a unique perspective. I had been the chief negotiator for the United States in what turned out to be the last trade and economic agreement with the Soviet Union back in 1988. And we were very concerned about trying to see that we could integrate the Soviet economy, at that time, of course, 15 republics, in with the rest of the world in a globalized world because they were coming out of a central command economy. And in doing so, we were rather successful. I can remember standing in line for the very first McDonald's that was opened in Moscow. And today there are approximately 850 McDonald's. But with an awful lot of retreat that's going on by a number of companies, not just U.S. companies, but European companies, that's going to have significant impact not only on the Russian consumer and the Russian government, but also in the West.
Interesting. And quickly, just kind of give viewers a thumbnail sketch of stagflation, why that's such a difficult word to absorb.
Well, stagflation, you know, involves the combination of interest rates, inflation, trying to deal with employment rates. It's a combination of all of the negative things that can happen in an economy. We haven't had stagflation, for example, here in the United States for a number of years. But and coming out of the coronavirus and having this next hit, which effectively is a result of what's transpired in Ukraine, really is a very tough thing for an awful lot of consumers to have to go through.
You know, James, China is dealing with its own concerns right now. And about a month ago, President Xi came out, talked about how worried he was about global inflation. With the situation in Russia and Ukraine, what is that doing to China's economic growth and its plans as it wraps up its annual political season?
Well, you know, it's important to realize that trading nations are like boats on the high seas. They rise and they fall together, not one over the other. And I think that President Xi's concerns about the Chinese economy are well placed. We've had concerns about the supply chain, for example, over the past year or so. And the supply chain, combined with what's happening right now, is going to create even more problems because for so long, a number of countries from the United States to Europe to other parts of the world have depended on that supply chain of which China is such an integral part. And so there certainly should be concern. The only way that we're really going to be able to escape this and to be able to really see progress, I think, is to see some kind of a resolution regarding Ukraine.
Well, James Moore, we appreciate your breadth of knowledge and your insight as well. Founder and CEO of the Washington Institute for Business, Government, and Society.